Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. Former Maine Governor Paul LePage in Portland taking the podium today at a luncheon. We'll tell you what he and supporters of the Maine Heritage Policy Center had to say.
And do you suffer from migraines? There's lots of medications out there, but finally there might be one without some terrible side effects. We'll take a look.
This is News Center Now. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Keith Carson. There's an urgent need to keep young Mainers living and working in this state.
That was one of the messages today at a luncheon from the Maine Heritage Policy Center, attended by Maine's former governor and the governor of Kentucky, who has New England ties.
So Governor Paul LePage, ladies and gentlemen.
Former Governor Paul LePage returning to the podium, pulling back the curtain on his time since leaving office.
I went into retirement January 2nd. It's really boring.
And his latest business dealings with Mrs. LePage.
She says, Paul, I know you want to run again. You want to take Janet Mills out because she's after your policies. She says, well, there's two conditions. One, you got to buy me a pickup truck. Two, you got to learn to like country music.
Jokes aside.
Well, I bought her a pickup truck. I'm working on the other half.
LePage sharing a luncheon with like-minded people.
Please welcome the governor of Kentucky.
Members and supporters of the Maine Heritage Policy Center rallying for policies to keep young workers and business owners here. A scenario all too familiar for the keynote speaker.
Thank you for being here. The young people are leaving. The kids like me, I left this part of the world when I was 18 years old to find opportunity.
Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin grew up in Coos County, New Hampshire. His father worked in Bethel, Maine. That's also where he graduated from Gould Academy.
This state needs to look at policies like right to work. If this became a right to work state, it would be a vacuum sound coming out of the other New England states into certainly the southern part of the state, which would help to drive the economy for the rest of the state.
Nearly 30 states have a right to work law, which allows workers who do not join unions to receive union negotiated benefits. Now, with Democrats in control of the State House, discussions of right to work legislation have yet to surface. However, Governor Janet Mills has signed Maine's earned paid leave law. Before heading home, Governor Bevin left one question for Mainers.
We say we want a better America. You say you want a better Maine. I say I want a better Kentucky. We want better opportunities. How badly?
So very interesting there. A lot of members of Maine's GOP there today, and well attended.
You do need to entice people. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it is the oldest state, so which is great. Yeah. But you got to have some flip side too.
Absolutely.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm in the dad age. That's a whole age. It can start, start early, goes late.
You're one of the examples of a young family here.
Yeah. I think I'm young, and then we hire reporters who are 15, and then I get kind of thrown off as to what young is anymore. All right, it is coolish out there, and we've got a combination of fog, mist, smoke, clouds, everything. Temperatures in the 60s and some 70s are the best we're going to do up towards Caribou. Look at these dew points creeping there into the mid 60s, upper 60s, and 70 in Portsmouth, which is oppressive. The good news is it's not that hot, so these dew points don't feel as bad when your temperatures are, 70 degrees or so. But still, you'll notice that tropical air mass tomorrow. So the fog is under all of this. It's hard to see because the clouds have kind of covered it up, and the satellite looking straight down, of course. But most of us are cloudy here, showers and thunderstorms off to the west, and there's a round about to move into Cumberland County, coming out of York County, into southern Oxford County as well. I don't see much lightning detected with this particular line of showers, but certainly there's the possibility for some convection involved in all of this. That line comes through, we have a little break, and then more showers and thunderstorms come in later on tonight. Something's a little funky about this lightning data. But regardless, it'll be a wet night for a lot of us and into the day tomorrow. Lindsay, the good news is still looks like we clear all of this out in time for the weekend.
Good deal, Keith. Thanks. Drug overdose deaths in Maine have declined about 14% in the first quarter of the year. The report indicates there were 74 drug fatalities from January to March compared to 86 the year before. Maine's Attorney General says he remains concerned about the opioid epidemic and a shift to other drugs. The report also shows cocaine-involved deaths were up from 25% in 2018. President Donald Trump is expected to drop his bid to include a citizenship question in the 2020 census. That's according to House Republicans. Trump will instead pursue other avenues for asking the question after the Supreme Court blocked his efforts, according to a current and former administration official familiar with those plans. Former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz is recovering from a third surgery after experiencing complications resulting from his gunshot wound. His wife, Tiffany, says in a statement that he is recovering well and is in good spirits. He had the surgery earlier this week at Mass General Hospital. Ortiz was shot in the back at a bar in the Dominican Republic last month. Central Maine Power has handed over copies of metering and billing information requested by Maine's public advocate.
Yeah, this after a request filed last month to conduct additional testing. The Office of Public Advocate plans to review 3 consecutive months of bills for each customer who filed complaints since May 1st, 2018. CMP said it had completed transferring the requested information Wednesday. That includes data from more than 1,300 complaints received. And this, as I just got a rate increase notice, is interesting PR time for them.
You and so many customers thinking the same thing.
It's like when I end up on the 4th floor over something I tweeted, and if I ask for a raise at that exact time, it just seems like the wrong moment.
The timing's a little off.
Seems like the wrong time. All right, most Americans would like cigarettes to have less nicotine.
That's according to a new CDC study released today. Researchers surveyed over 4,000 adults. 81% favored requiring cigarette makers to lower the levels of nicotine in them. Smokers also supported the action, with 80% saying they would like to see lowered levels so cigarettes won't be as addictive. Smoking remains the leading cause of preventable disease and is responsible for roughly 480,000 deaths in the country. People with migraine headaches who are not benefiting from their current medications may soon have a new drug at their disposal.
Yeah, researchers tested a drug called Rimagepant in clinical trial involving more than 1,000 migraine sufferers. Those who took the drug during a migraine were more likely to be free from pain and nausea and other bothersome symptoms within 2 hours. This is compared to those who had only taken a placebo. Side effects were included some nausea and urinary tract infections experienced by a small percentage of the participants. The drug is currently awaiting approval from the FDA, which can take a while, although some of these migraine medications you have to take more consistently even when you don't have a migraine. And so this would be a fast-acting alternative, which certainly has some promise.
Definitely hopeful for people who suffer from them. That's for
nasty.
sure.
Those are nasty. All right, coming up, we'll celebrate what would have been author E.B. White's 120th birthday.
Wow, and Maine connection there. And later, the store known for being a Maine adventure is turning 70. More on how a small little store turned into a Maine staple.
All right, Apple says it's deactivated a feature on its Apple Watch to head off potential eavesdropping. They said the issue is with the watch's walkie-talkie feature. The company disabled it because they discovered a bug that could allow people to use the watch to listen to conversations through another person's iPhone. The features have only been around since Watch OS 5, rolled out last September, but it'll remain disabled until Apple can release a fix for the bug. The company says it's not aware that the vulnerability has actually been used against customers. Probably has, but if you listen to people who have Apple Watches, they're just ordering Starbucks and talking about their next novel. So I think nobody wanted to listen to that.
It's
and
true.
They just stopped.
I'm impressed with how you tackled that, because if you guys could only see how that was displayed in the prompter.
Yeah, I don't know what it was supposed to mean.
I always trip up too on iOS. I always say EOS.
This is why I don't read words usually, if I can avoid it.
Well, you're doing it, Shane. You're doing just fine. Amazon says it's going to be retraining about a third of its U.S. workforce in order to better compete in a changing economy. That retraining will involve about 100,000 workers. The company says the new training will enable workers to transition into software engineering positions and other technical roles. With the unemployment rate around 4%, Amazon and other companies are finding it increasingly difficult to find technically qualified employees in the U.S.
Taking over the world is hard work. And that's what
really
Amazon is
is.
doing right now. Coming up, we'll talk to a writer who spent a lot of time writing about E.B. White, the author of Charlotte's Web, and Stuart Little.
And Keith, you're doing the job you do best.
I do
The
4
weather.
jobs if you read this. Meteorologist, pro anchorman, dad joke advocate, and spray tan consultant. That was actually with Dustin today.
I'm going to take you up
Yeah.
on the 4th one. Well, this was certainly one of my favorite stories as a child. Charlotte's Web. A lot of you at home, I know, probably loved that book as well. Author E.B. White, who has Maine ties, would have been 120 years old today. Author Melissa Sweet joins us now to talk about her connection to the E.B. White family through your own work as well. So tell us about Some Writer.
So, Some Writer came about because I wanted to create another biography for young readers, and I thought, who is the quintessential subject? And E.B. White came to my mind, and I said, oh, E.B. White, he was some writer. So I had my idea, and I had my title right away. And I was not an authority on E.B. White in any way. I had his book of letters, Strunk and White's Elements of Style, and of course had read his children's books. But from there, I began researching, and I got in touch with the White family to be sure this was going to be okay. I knew I wanted to use archival photographs, quotes by White. I wanted the book to be for young readers so that they could learn that E.B. White wrote much more than the 3 children's books we know him for, and that all of it is accessible to pretty much any age, I'd say.
And we were just talking about before we came on that he's actually a New Yorker by birth, but had a farm in Maine that he loved. Do you think some of that came out in the writing?
Absolutely. Yes. The farm influenced and fed the writing for sure, especially Charlotte's Web, because that came about because he had a pig who died, and he saw the birth of a spider. He saw that a spider spinning a spider's web, and those 2 things became the genesis of Charlotte's Web. So it was, the farm was the influence for sure, inspiration, I should say. Yeah.
Speaking of inspiration, our last question that we have time for here. As a writer yourself, what sort of inspiration can other writers pull from the works of E.B. White?
Wow, I would say read everything he wrote. He was a wordsmith, he was spare and to the point with a lot of humor, and I think you can have an entire writing class just by reading his work.
Awesome. Melissa, thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you.
We appreciate it on this, what would
Yes.
have been a 120th birthday celebration.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. All right.
I look forward to reading that to Luca. I've got a little guy.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It's like one of those classic ones, right?
Absolutely.
We'll read it to him.
bet.
I haven't read it in a while. Some of the children's books I read that I wonder about. They're like a word a page, and somebody got paid for it somewhere along the way.
Do you ever skip a few pages when you want to rush bedtime?
No, he doesn't let me.
Oh,
he doesn't let me already.
He's got to memorize.
He's not allowing it yet.
Luca.
So we got a little bit of everything going on out there right now. We got some fog, we've got high dew points, so it's pretty sticky. You look at Sanford and Portsmouth and Freiburg, upper 60s, low 70s for dew points. Fog underneath the upper cloud deck here, and so most of us are socked in, and that's how we'll stay tonight and at least through the first half of tomorrow. Here are the showers and thunderstorms coming in. So far just showers with some downpours. Haven't seen anything show up on the lightning detection network, but coming into York County and Cumberland County and Oxford County here are the showers. So that's the first round that's broken off. The bigger picture shows you a couple more rounds here coming through before the actual cold front drags through tomorrow midday into the afternoon. So it's going to be tropical showers and storms around here through the evening, but a lot of the night is dry. It's just sticky. Not until tomorrow morning that we see more widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. A break in the middle of the day tomorrow, so I think we get a break where there's some hazy sunshine, and that destabilizes the atmosphere for our next line of showers and thunderstorms, which will be Friday afternoon. That comes through, and then we're in good shape If we get enough clearing, we'll have to watch the storms tomorrow afternoon for some severe potential. If we stay socked in, then we won't have any problems with those storms. And things clear out by early Saturday morning. Saturday looks mostly sunny, looks gorgeous. 80 to 85 degrees, some 86-degree readings possible inland. And then Sunday looks good as well. The only small fly in the ointment, and this is really minor stuff, is a chance for a shower over far northern Maine and the mountains on Sunday, but 90% of us stay dry straight through the weekend. Still got a heat signal for mid-next week, but it got a little jumbled by the European model here, and I was trying to figure out why. And I realized it's Tropical Storm Barry. See that little bowling ball there? It comes in and disrupts the whole ridge here in the east. And so the signal's still there for Wednesday, but now it's cooler on Thursday. So we're going to have to wait to see how Barry is resolved by the models before we can figure out how hot it's going to be next week. And there it is, center circulation looking better, still elongated. It's a tropical storm on its way to becoming a hurricane most likely. But I got to say, Lindsay, the fact that it's a hurricane or not doesn't matter. This is all going to be about the rain and the flooding in central and western Louisiana, where they are already flooded out from a previous system. So going to be a bad situation there. Great situation up here. Weekend looks good. Tuesday looks pretty good as well. Hot on Wednesday. I do think we have 90s. I just don't know if it's one day on Wednesday or 2 days, including Thursday. So as we get a little bit closer, obviously we'll get there. But
something to keep in mind, the hurricane, if you have family, friends down that area, maybe worthwhile checking in, see how they're doing.
It is, and you know the problem is because it's not going to be a strong hurricane, I wonder if people will take it seriously when flooding is what kills a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because this morning on the Today Show they were talking about, don't go by the category, and that's something you've said before too, because you just don't know, it could change.
Look at Harvey. That wasn't that strong a storm.
Right.
All right, Robert Rennie Sr., or RH as he was known, was driven to find quality goods and sell them for low prices. The main department store that bears his name is known simply as Rennie's.
RH's family now runs the 17 Rennie's stores throughout the state, and this year will mark their 70th anniversary. Among the secrets to their success, a theme song nearly anyone in the state can sing on cue. 207's Peggy Kaiser promises not to sing, but she shares their story.
Rennie's, a Maine adventure.
There is a waiting list of folks who want to sing this tune.
Rennie's, the Maine adventure.
Synonymous with the adventure of shopping at Rennie's.
Very nice. I like that.
Shopping is entertainment.
Thank you.
I mean, how entertaining is it to go into the same box store with the same thing in every place?
Robert Rennie Sr. got his start at Center's department store in Damariscotta in 1948 and quickly figured out he could launch his own store. And so he did, right across the street.
I wanted to be a big frog in a small pond.
He was a natural-born marketer.
He said he had so little merchandise, he took all the empty boxes and put them on the shelves so that it looked full, because you want to look full.
RH opened his store in October of 1949 and did okay through Christmas. But in the dead of winter, the customers just stopped showing up. So he took his show on the road.
So he put all kinds of merchandise in his car and went down through the peninsulas, going door to door. And he said he didn't sell much, drank a lot of coffee, had a lot of pie, and made a lot of friends. He had the gift of gab. He could talk to anybody.
The strategy paid off.
In the springtime, they came up to Damariscotta to see Bob Rennie, who was nice enough to stop down to see them in the wintertime. So.
From that first store,
yeah.
What happened? How did it start to multiply?
Well, I guess he kind of got bored. I don't know. So he opened a store in Bridgeton.
Around this time, shopping centers were beginning to emerge, pulling shoppers from the downtowns.
Buildings were cheap, so he could go into like a Gardner or a Farmington and buy a building cheap and open a store.
No two Rennie stores are alike. That's part of the adventure. The original Damariscotta clothing store was later joined by Rennie's Underground across the street, formerly a pool hall and a bowling alley.
The pins were down there, and there were alleys, and there was Candlepin.
And now 2 floors of pretty much everything you can imagine, including grilled cheese and milkshakes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this was a drugstore. It had a soda fountain. So we fixed it up a little bit. I said it wasn't the smartest thing we ever did, but it was the right thing to do for the town.
Time might be standing still behind the counter, but nothing stands still at the Rennie's Newcastle warehouse. 130,000 square feet of chips and wading pools, dish soap, and Christmas ornaments.
Everything comes in here
Everything comes in here.
and then goes out to the 17
Yes.
locations.
Yep.
Rennie's buyers are always on the hunt for a good deal, and there is new merchandise showing up in every store every day. John's daughter and nephew have now stepped in to running the business.
It's the Rennie way. The Rennie way. And I don't know how to explain it, but there's a Rennie way. Hi there. And take care of your customers, take care of your suppliers, take care of your employees, and just make it work. And people love us.
Rennie's, a Maine adventure.
It's really an honor.
Rennie's, a Maine adventure.
You got to include that jingle.
It's a great jingle.
It is. A lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Let's check in with Pat Callahan for a preview. Hey, Pat.
Hi, Lindsay and Keith. The search is on for the driver involved in a hit and run in Portland, one that left a skateboarder in critical condition. We'll have the latest on the investigation. Police describe it as an absolutely gruesome attack. They say a man broke into the home of an elderly couple in Bridgeton and beat them with a statue, but it's not clear why. We'll have more on a case that has shaken the community. And tens of thousands of Maine families in Bangor, tens of thousands of Mainers, I should say, are at risk of because of Maine's affordable housing shortage. And there's a project underway for some families in Bangor designed to help, if only in a relatively small way. Those stories and much more coming up on News Center at 5:30.
All right, Pat, thanks so much. Got some more brain drops?
More of me.
More Keith when we come back.
Still time to see another show. Start at 5:30. Great viewer question. Very astute one. When I hear people talk about climate change, it's in reference to a comparison of daily high and low temperatures with the normal highs. And he's asking, okay, so the normal highs change, so doesn't that give us the wrong picture? Because our averages keep going up. The short answer is yes, he's correct. So here's a graph in Portland from the 1951 to 1980 average to the 1988 to 2017 average. You can see that this is on the average for the whole year. You go from about 45 to almost 47. So his point is well taken, which is because it's a running average, in a weird way, it dampens our above average highs because we keep moving the bar up. The system was designed not really thinking about global warming. It was, a while ago. So it's just kind of how they do it. They want people to compare the weather to the weather that they've lived through. So they do these 30-year running averages. But astute question, and he's right, but that's just kind of the system as it is.
Very good. Awesome. Thanks, Keith. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.